Hello everyone, I'm Burfy1322 and welcome to the Stewards room, where we'll be taking a look at racing incidents submitted by you guys and trying to make a determination on who, if anyone, was at fault. There's a link in the description to submit your own clips, and feel free to check out the playlist link for more of these videos, specifically the first, which acts as a scene setter. Also keep an eye out for cards popping up on screen towards the end of each segment, where you can vote on who you thought was at fault for each incident. Okay, so first clip, we're on F1 2017, and I will just say that if there have been any major incidents from the 2019 Chinese Grand Prix, I won't be able to review them in this episode. I'm recording it in advance because at the moment I'm at TwitchCon, but I will be focusing on that in the next episode. So if there are any incidents, keep an eye out for the next episode and we'll probably talk about them there. Just can't do it for this one. So yeah, we're on F1 2017, makes a bit of a mistake there, and then we're coming along nicely here, and then for some reason we get turned around. So what happened there? Obviously we can see the Renault that was facing the wrong way as well. Let's have a look at it from a different perspective. So we got it from the perspective of the Renault as well, which is always handy when it comes to reviewing these clips, to have multiple perspectives. It's very difficult sometimes to just take it from one person's perspective, but we obviously get a few overtakes done there, and then at the start of a race, it's obviously always a little bit of a jostling for position and a bit of a mess. But we're coming around here. There we can see that the Toro Rosso got a bit out of shape. Or is it the Red Bull? I can't tell. Whatever it was, it got out of shape just ahead. And we saw that from the perspective of the previous perspective that we saw. And then, yeah, it is a Toro Rosso. But then it just, essentially for me, this is just going for something that's not really on. We obviously got an overspeed here, but that was something that was never really going to work. Let's have a look at the Rules of Racing document before we look at this further. So here we are back with the Rules of Racing document, and I'm going to say that this is more about who owns the racing line at the apex, because it was kind of attempting to be an inside overtake. As always, if the attacker's more than halfway alongside, any collision's the fault of the defender. If they're less than halfway alongside, it's the fault of the attacker, and if it's approximately halfway, it's both persons' fault. Now, this is clearly, for me, what happened during that incident. The attacker, which was the Renault, wasn't anywhere near halfway alongside, and if anything, it's pretty much exactly what you can see on this diagram. The front end of the Renault, which would be this red car here, hit the back end of the Toro Rosso, which would be the blue car there, and sent him around. And I think that's a perfect case of it being entirely the fault of the person who's trying to make the overtake, the attacker, and he should have backed out of it. So let's have a look at slow speed. Obviously we do have the overspeed on the Toro Rosso, but I mean, if anything he just drives into his rear wheel. It's not even as if he goes for an overtake and gets closed out. There's still space on the inside, even at the point of contact. When you look at the direction here, he's pretty much, he look at all this space that's over this side that he could be going into. And really, if he had such an overspeed that if he'd utilized this space here, he probably could have, forced the Toro Rosso to have to go wide around this corner because he'd made enough space. But he doesn't do that. He instead essentially aims for the back end of the Toro Rosso. The contact is there, and at that point you've lost anything. He's lost a bit of momentum. If he hadn't have had that contact, he could have been a little bit further up the road into this space here, and that little bit of contact is all that it needs to then send the Toro Rosso around. And he doesn't even brake and back out at this point, as he sees that the Toro Rosso is coming around. He could have stamped on the brakes and maybe they would have been able to save it, but he keeps his foot in. You can even see it in the bottom right there. That's the throttle, I'm guessing. Keeps his foot in all the time, and what does he expect is going to happen in this incident? That's a clear-cut case for me of going for an overtake that the space wasn't there, it wasn't really on. Contact was entirely the fault. Yes, he had the overspeed because the Toro Rosso made a little mistake in the previous corner, but that doesn't immediately give you the right to just knock someone out of the way. He still picked up speed at this point, and there's not enough of an overspeed to get alongside. Although maybe there would have been if he hadn't have just, got it wrong. But as soon as there was a bit of contact, he didn't even decide to back out of it and maybe live to fight another day. He just kept going, full acceleration, spun him around, and it's clear cut, as we saw from the rules a few minutes ago. Front wheel to rear wheel wasn't enough alongside. Entirely the fault of the Renault. There will be a poll, as always, pop up in the top left, top right hand corner of the screen. You can vote on who you thought was at fault. Was it the Renault? Was it the Toro Rosso? Or was it just a racing incident? You guys let me know in the poll and in the comments down below as well. But for me, totally on the Renault for this one. Just a bad attempt at an overtake. So next one, we're on 811s on an airport track. Goes up the inside there, and they have it coming together. So, we're going to apply the same thing that we had on the, that we just saw from the rules of racing document. If the attacker's more than halfway alongside, then he's warranting of some space. And I think he's at this point, it's a little bit difficult because the defender is so wide here, and the attacker's trying to keep an inside line. But I don't think that there's necessarily anything out of the ordinary being done by any of the drivers here. So the point of contact, it is quite a sharp angle. But when you look at the contact, if you would consider that this is the apex of the corner. For me, the contact is such that more space should have been left on the inside to the orange car there. The darker orange car, whether it would have been able to see him coming is difficult to say because of the angle that both cars were going. But that's the difficulty, isn't it, for this clip? It's because it's such a different line being taken by both drivers. It's how much blame do you apportion? And if anything, for me, maybe I would put this down to a racing incident, because it's tricky. The dark orange car does go deep into the previous corner, so that's why he's on a worse line. So taking that into account and looking at the line that other cars are taking around here, it looks like the correct line for this track is what the orange car is doing, the light orange car, and the dark orange car is the one who is doing something a little bit out of the ordinary by being too far wide off the track. And at that point, it would put it into a case of it's your duty as the person who's now slightly off the track to re-enter the track safely. He does go wide. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to land on this. I think I would be putting this more to the fault of the dark orange car, because knowing that he's gone a bit too wide on the outside here, he should have been wary of the fact that there could be other cars on the proper racing line, and should have left more space on the inside, especially considering there's so much space around the outside there, instead of just completely cutting off the corner like that. And also the fact that the point of contact, it happens when it's really front wheel to front wheel. So the orange car also was far enough up the inside to be deserving of at least some space there, and it was such a brutal hit that the orange car comes off worse for it. But I think for me personally, I have to give that as fault to the dark orange car for being too far off the track and not re-entering the racing line in a normal way, and being completely oblivious to the fact that there may be other cars who he's racing against. So yeah, I'm going to put the fault for that one on the dark orange car. You guys may think differently. It is a little bit of a tricky one, this one, honestly, because of the different angles and the way that the corner is set up. But you guys let me know in the comments and the poll, which will pop up in the top right, what you think, who was at fault for this one. But for me, I think it's just enough fault for the dark orange car in my mind that I would put the fault on the dark orange car, but I wouldn't also blame anyone for deciding that it's a racing incident. It's just one of those things that happens. Or even it's the light orange car's fault for trying to go for a move that wasn't really on. But I think for my part of it, I would be putting more of the blame to the dark orange car, enough to the point that I would be saying that he was at fault for this one. So let me know what you think, obviously, in the poll and in the comments down below. So next clip, and I think at this point it's important to focus on the rear view mirror for this one. We can see that this guy goes for an overtake up the inside, ends up getting a penalty for that overtake, and subsequently quits from the race. So that seems like it's classic GT Sport. So what's going on? We need to focus on the rear view mirror here to see what's really happening. And tell you what, let me try and draw around it. There you go. So let's focus on that as we play this on. And we can see that the red car who comes for the overtake is close enough, really. And it's a little bit of a hit, but to me that seems like a pretty decent overtake. Now let me slow it down, because the red car that we can see above is, I mean, he's pretty close. That is close enough to be trying to go for an overtake up the inside, and the car who we're driving with looks like he gets a little bit of an oversteer moment as well. He is wide. He's lost the back end a little bit based on the way that the car's moving. Obviously, he's going for the inside. The racing line is gonna take him across here, so he's going for that. But the red car has taken that space. And it's he's certainly ahead at this point. It's quite easy to see. To me, this is a good overtake. He's ahead. Yes, there's a little bit of contact, but for me, that's just one of those things. He's done a good overtake, to be honest. That's just a good overtake. It's not as if he's carried too much speed in to the point where he's not going to make the corner or anything like that. It's just a little bit of contact, but also in touring car style racing, closed wheel racing, a little bit of contact like that is expected on overtakes. So for me, that's a good overtake. I can't see anything that he did wrong. GT Sports penalty system obviously decided otherwise, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what you guys think about this one. Yes, you could say it was a little bit forceful to make that kind of move, but it's a quite tight street circuit. You're gonna need to make moves like that to be able to get through. Nothing majorly bad happened to the car who we're racing with, and if it did, maybe then there would be some argument that okay, he took way too much speed in, but he's perfectly making the corner totally fine. He even sticks to the inside quite nicely. It's not as if he's going completely off the track to the left. For me, that's just a decent overtake in cars like this as well, where a little bit of contact like that is expected. It wasn't even as if he was trying to be halfway ahead at the apex. He got fully ahead. He was fully ahead of the point of contact, and for me, that was just a good overtake. But let me know what you guys think. Tell you what, if you think that was a perfectly fine overtake and nothing was wrong, vote for racing incident. That's what racing incident is for. Nobody was at fault. Nothing really happened. It was just fine. But if you obviously then if you think it was the fault of the red car for, I don't know, that the hit, do you think he was worthy of a penalty for that? Vote for the red car. And I guess those are going to be our only two options: racing incident or red car at fault, because there's nothing really that we did as the driver who we're riding with. But yeah, obviously GT Sports penalty system decided otherwise, but I'd be interested to know what you guys think. Was this just a nothing incident? Do you think the same as me, or was there actually something at fault here? Let me know, and maybe I've just missed something. But yeah, let me know in the poll and in the comments down below as well. Unfortunate for that guy though that he got such a penalty and decided to quit. Okay, final clip. We're on GTA in the 770, and we're coming up to the final corner of the track, side by side with another 770. What's going to happen as we come into the final corner? Side by side still. Okay, so the in the notes for this one, it was said that the purple car, let's say, did wait, and the question was, should he have waited? And I think he should have done. I mean, when we're looking at this, it's a decent it's decent defense from the green car. We'll slow it down as we always do. It's decent defense from the green car, sticking to the inside, staying on the inside, not carrying too much speed into the corner as well to run the purple car wide, which he was within his rights to do, to be fair. Man, this car looks purple in some... Oh, it's a purple pearlescent. I'm going to call this car the purple car, even though in some situations it doesn't look purple, just because I've said it now. But he could have ran him more wide than what he did. The green car was within his rights to continue the racing line out wide, really, and come back. But he doesn't. Either way, it's good defending to keep the position. And I think it's pretty clear that, it's just this final movement from the purple car. It's like the neon and the Nero all over again. That final movement is just misjudged, really, that he tries to get... I think he just tries to get off the dirt as quickly as possible and doesn't realise that, that's going to cause him to hit the back end of the green car. Now, the green car doesn't really have any need to move. It doesn't have to give any space at this point to... by the way, whoever created this could really do with disabling resampling on Sony Vegas. But the green car doesn't have to move to the right at any point here to give space. He's ahead. He's got the line for the corner. It's on the purple car here to re-enter the track safely. And obviously that's not what happens. There's a bit of a hit, as you can see there. Sends the green car off, and then it just continues. And as always is the case, it seems to be the case more often than not with these kind of incidents, the person who creates that initial incident never seems to break and stop it getting worse. It's always just continuing to accelerate, and one hit becomes 2 hits, becomes 3 hits, and it just gets even worse after that. So yeah, I think I would entirely put the fault on the purple car. It was the right thing to do that he waited. You can't just, we've seen it before from the Rules of Racing document, you can't just take the space occupied by another car on a straight, and especially on a corner exit. If you're trying to overtake around the outside, you also have no claim to the space on the corner exit if you're on the outside of the corner. In fact, I'll go quickly to the Rules of Racing document to show that. As we can see here, going around the outside, we've looked at this a few times before. The guiding principle is that the driver on the outside should be at least level, front axle in line with front axle, with the driver on the inside to have a claim to the racing line on corner exit. So if the driver is slightly behind, even very slightly behind on the outside of a corner, the driver on the inside is well within his right to run that driver out of room. A lot of people don't seem to like that that's the thing, but that is the rules as they're set out. But at this point, when we're looking back at the clip, he's going around the outside here, but as we go around the corner, you have to be much further ahead to do an outside overtake, because of the fact that the inside's going to get around the corner better. And this is the exit of the corner. He's nowhere near level. He would have to be much further up. They would have to be in line to be warranting of any space. So the green car was well within his rights to run him more out of road, but he didn't. But then at this point, it's not on the purple car isn't allowed to then claim the space that's here. Anyway, because he's behind. So if it was level at this point, then yes, the green car should move over to give space. But because he's not, it's only here. It should have been on the purple car to back out of that one. Obviously, that doesn't happen, and then the crash ensues, and the purple car does the right thing to wait. So the poll will pop up in the top right again. Do you think this was the green car's fault for not giving enough space, despite what I've said and looked at the rules? Or do you think this was indeed the purple car's fault and he did the right thing to wait? Or was it a racing incident and nobody should have waited, and it was just one of those things? Let me know in the poll, let me know in the comments what you think. That goes for this clip and all the other clips as well. Now you can find in the video description all the info and links that you may need to submit your own clips, and if you'd like to support me, you can do so on Patreon by becoming a YouTube member or simply subscribing and liking the video. Thank you all so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.